to this edition of Trowel Time, everybody, and thanks for being with us on this 29th day of January. Welcome to 2025. I hope it's been good so far and hope it continues to be. This edition of Trowel Time is a little bit different. Our couch has decreased in age considerably. And we're very glad to have and introduce to you in just a minute Grant Lefebvre. Grant is
Hello.
I want you to know that's a lot more than the other two guys that sit on the couch ever got as far as applause is concerned. Behind the camera is Ben Tigner, as always. Ben, thank you very much for being here. Darren Thompson behind the lectern to keep us straight. And as always, the immutable Dirk. From our museum and library.
Immutable or
is
that immutable or unmutable?
Well, I said immutable. I think it was immutable. And it's good to have you with us. So, this month we had to kind of move some things around. We got some folks were sick, and you know how it's going out there. So this time of year, everybody has some things that happen, and the weather has been colder than heck up here in Alma, but it's moderating a little bit. We got some things going on, so. We're just going to have a good time. We'll talk about some things that have happened, and we'll start off by just introducing you to Grant. Grant,
hello.
How are you today?
I'm good. Good. How are you, Bob?
I'm good.
Good.
How long have you been with our Masonic Collective now? You're kind of working for all of us, right?
Yeah. So next month will be my 1 year. I just started this past March for the home. Applied right on Indeed, thanks to good old Ben for posting that.
Yeah.
And I was familiar with the home, not necessarily the Masonic part of it, but I was familiar with the home. I actually had a relative on my dad's side who was a resident here at one point in time, and my grandmother on my mom's side lived in a home kind of similar, but not as massive as this one. So I knew I'd fit right in, and then just as I started learning more about the Masonic of it all and all that good fun stuff. And I've even been talking with Mr. Dirk here about Alma Lodge 244 and what's been going on over there. So I'm really excited, and I can't believe it's been 1 year. It's honestly flown by.
It has, yeah.
Yes.
That surprised me when you said that. Now, you handle our social media, and you kind of make sure that it works and that it's going. I know Darren helps a lot putting things into it and so forth, but it's also for the home. And
the home as well as the foundation.
Have you been thoroughly lost over in the home?
My first few months was a bit of a maze. It took some time. I would always have to stop in random people's office and ask for where I was supposed to go.
Well, I've been here a long time. I still get lost over there, but it's a big place. And so Hiram's Herald then as well.
Yes, as well, yep.
And that goes out on Mondays.
Yep, every Monday at noon.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you folks haven't seen, kind of our social media, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, not so much.
Yeah, LinkedIn we're still building.
It's primarily Facebook, isn't it?
Yeah, primarily Facebook, and then our emails that go out every once in a while.
So Facebook and get the email that Hiram's Herald has a ton of stuff in. I know Darren always has, kind of a pitch to get that. All of our events and stuff that we know about are posted in that on a weekly basis, and I know you help do all of that too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, we're absolutely delighted that you're here. You've done a great job for us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can't believe I made it to the couch.
Yeah, you're on the couch. He's on the couch, folks, and I know that that's a tremendous honor.
Made it before any of us.
Many have asked and have been denied. So, but I've seen you carrying the popcorn up here on Fridays. So that's what's kind of got you to this place of high honor and recognition. We're going to thank you very much, Grant.
Thank you.
We give him a big round once more. Does a great job for us, and we're very happy that you're here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with some things that are coming up and that we've done. So we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the latest Masonic apparel, materials, and literature from the craft? Look no more. At MichiganMasonicStore.com, you can find everything from hats and shirts to tumblers, blankets, and books. Our shirts come in a range of sizes and with logos and branding custom stitched for the Michigan Masons. Don't wait. Visit MichiganMasonicStore.com now.
Welcome back to Trowel Time. So, some of the things that have been going on up here, last week was a busy week for a lot of us up here, but on Friday last week we had a film. We had movie night in the Doig Chapel, and they did a great job. Andrew Rieger and Tammy and everybody put together a great event, and we watched a film called Join or Die. Now, those of you that have Netflix, you can get that movie. It's on Netflix. Just search Join or Die. It is the story of kind of Robert Putnam, And Mr. Putnam wrote a book many years ago called Bowling Alone. And back when I started in Masonic Renewal, 1989, 90, somewhere in that time frame, we used Bowling Alone as one of our course materials for that study of what was happening to the Masonic fraternity. And it's all fraternities in the United States. So all of these entities have been going through a decline in membership for the Masonic fraternity in Michigan since 1959. That means that's the year of my birth. So every year since I was born, I don't know if that's an indicator or not, but we have been declining in the Masonic fraternity. And it seems that we were able to slow the curve a little bit, but we weren't able to stop it entirely. So the world changed, and Putnam, looking at that world, wanted to know why. And that's what Bowling Alone was about. He's written a lot of books since then. The latest is entitled The Upswing, which he believes that we can turn this around. The stipulation is that the world's a better place because clubs and associations and everything from Masonic lodges to civic groups like Lions, JCs, Kiwanis, Rotarians, the ladies' sewing circle, the men's golf leagues, all of those things help make the world a better place, especially in the United States. And I agree. And we all need to do that joining part of it a little bit better. So even if you join the Masonic fraternity and you're watching this and you haven't really participated in a long time, do yourself a favor and go to lodge. If you join the Shrine, go to a temple meeting. If you join Scottish Rite, go to a reunion. If you joined York Rite, get to a meeting. Whatever it is, go and be with people and start to spread that word. Watch Join or Die if you have Netflix. And if you're in a lodge, by the way, a lodge could do the same thing we did. Just pop some popcorn and show Join or Die on the big TV, and then have a conversation afterwards, which is how we kind of facilitated the night. So we had a little conversation afterwards and talked with a lot of people. There were lodges represented all over the state. We had from the west side and the east side. We even had a brother come over from Windsor, Ontario, Canada, just to be with us. And so it was a good night. We had some good conversation.
A couple local Lions members and
we had
American
Kiwanian
Legion, I believe,
and American Legion. Yeah, so it was a good thing. This community used to have dozens of groups in it, and dozens of churches and other things that were social connectors, and unfortunately a lot of them are gone the way of the dodo now, and that's too bad. So while our emphasis is Masonry, every group and club makes the world a better place. So I highly encourage you to find the book Bowling Alone or The Upswing, rent them, get them from the library, whatever you need to do, and start to think about our role in our larger communities. Okay?
One thing that I was thinking as I was watching that too, as far as Bowling Alone, is that we used to have 6 or 7 bowling alleys between Ithaca and Mount Pleasant, and including 2 in Elma, and now I think we're down to 2 total, Ithaca and Mount Pleasant. There's 0 in Elma.
Right.
We used to have leagues,
They're all
2
gone.
bowling alleys with leagues every night. And
the big bowling center up by the movie theater was torn down, but that was a great place. Had a wonderful bar. Yeah.
I wouldn't know about that.
Well, I would. I would. That's why I like bowling centers, because they usually have great bars. They're always kind of retro, and I love them. So it was an interesting experience, though. So I hope that through that, maybe you can take a little bit of an interest in understanding, that these declining organizations don't have to decline. That's not the model. It doesn't have to be that way. And the same things that cause an organization to decline, a lack of involvement, can be turned around by involvement. So I think if we do that and we take some time to make sure that our organizations are thriving because of our involvement, that we'll see a better day with that. Coming up in March, we'll remind you again of this later on in February, but there is a Spring into Leadership Day event that'll happen up here in the Doag Chapel again. We've had it now for several years. I know Darren and the team take a lot of time to put that together, and you always have a great event, and it's usually full.
It's been full, I
So
think this is year 4.
that's about 120, wasn't it, that makes it full?
Yep.
So when you get the registration on that, make sure and fill that in and register your lodge as participant. You can bring secretaries, treasurers, master, wardens, and bring people up and take part of that. It's a good time.
Or anybody who wants to be one of the above down the road. If you're
Yeah.
an aspiring officer,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, an aspirant.
Yes.
Yes. Good stuff. You know, the Grand Lodge of Michigan and Prince Hall, Grand Lodge of Michigan, have been in a spirit of unity for many years now. And this March 23rd, we will be having a joint Unity Day where we celebrate this recognition on both Grand Lodge's parts of the legitimacy and the spirit of brotherhood between each Grand Lodge. Now that might sound like a normal thing for a lot of people, but I can tell you that it wasn't that long ago when we did not recognize Prince Hall Grand Lodge, nor they us. But back in the 90s, culminating in 1997, we passed resolutions in the Grand Lodge of Michigan to recognize Prince Hall Grand Lodge, and they did the same. And but we never really had a formal signing of a document that did that. And yet, to us, in the Masonic context, this is a big deal. That was a momentous event that a lot of people spent a lot of time working towards and for. And so we, through our Grand Masters, Barrett Walker from Prince Hall Grand Lodge and Eugene Abatico from Grand Lodge of Michigan, decided that we need to do something about that and celebrate this. And so on March 23rd at the Big Temple in Detroit, this is a beautiful black tie event affair, going to be a wonderful afternoon and evening, and culminating in the signing of resolutions by both Grand Lodges, recognizing that unity and that the recognition of both Grand Lodges by each other. So this is a big deal. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Dirk is taking a leadership role in kind of delving into the history of how that occurred and how it took place and who was involved in that, as are our counterparts from Prince Hall Grand Lodge. So it's going to be a fun night. I hope that you'll have the ability to come and join us with that. The reservation is open, I believe. So you can register for that now. I got a text yesterday. I guess it really wasn't announced, although it certainly was intended. Spouses are invited. This is not a closed Masonic event, so bring your significant others and whatever, and enjoy that evening with us. So you can register. It is on the
links are available in Grandview, in Hiram's Herald. There's a flyer that we posted on social media with a QR code,
Okay.
And you can also find the link on MichiganMasons.org.
Great, good stuff. We hope to see you there. I think we start at 4:30. Registration opens at 4:30.
Correct.
And then the evening will go on from there. But it's going to be a lot of fun, and we hope you come. So, a little bit different. Midwest Conference on Masonic Education. This is a group of just people from different jurisdictions in the Midwest that get together annually and talk about ways that they educate on Masonic issues to Masons. So it's not Masonic like our Lodge of Research does papers and presentations and those kinds of things. And while that might happen, the intent is that we talk to each other about best practices for how our jurisdictions are conducting Masonic education for our membership. So it's a little bit a different take on it, but I've found it to be very interesting. I've gone, this will be my third year in attendance, and I found it to be very interesting. Met some great guys from all across this area in the Midwest, and I highly encourage you, if you have May 2nd and 3rd open, it is in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'll have Darren post the flyer with the registration code for you, and it does fill up pretty quick. So if you want to go, we're hoping that our Lodges of Research will take the first step and go with us to that. But I think that you'll have a great time. And last but not least is the Grand Lodge of Michigan session is coming up, the annual communication, May 19th and 20th, and I know we're planning a really great program. Karen, the Grand Lodge team, Kelly, the foundation team, Tammy Dankenbring, Ben, and everybody, all the team works really hard at making sure this is a great event. We'll have a lot of vendors this year, I've noticed.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of stuff, breakouts, conversation in the afternoon, go through legislation. We don't have a lot of legislation this year, but there's some, so that'll be there. But we'll also have our election of officers and lots of good stuff. So it's always a great time to get together. It's at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, and we hope to see you there. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Darren giving us the upcoming events.
Have you always wanted to create a will but not sure where to begin? We will make it easy for you to create a legally valid will in 20 minutes or less. The best part, it's completely free. Go to our website to look through our planned giving options. You can choose to leave a gift to MMCF, the Michigan Masonic Home, or your lodge or chapter's charity account, changing lives for future generations. This service is free whether you choose to leave a gift or not. Don't delay. Start your legacy today.
Welcome back. Darren, upcoming events, take it away.
All right, February 8th, Saturday, coming up, we've got a joint degree exemplification with the Grand Lodge of Canada in the province of Ontario. This is going to be at the Detroit Temple. At 1 o'clock, there will be an EA exemplification with the Grand Lodge of Michigan officers. And then the fellowcraft will follow that with the Grand Lodge of Canada officers. And there is a dinner to follow if you so choose. There's a link to sign up in Grandview and on the Michigan Masons website and in your weekly Hiram's Herald. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Among other things, there is a special fish fry at Wakusta DeWitt starting at 4:30. I'm told that's the best fish fry in the state. They often sell out. So
the best fish fry in the state. There's not a cat in the DeWitt area. They're all located around the yard. Don't get me wrong, folks. But it entices every cat in the greater DeWitt area into that yard looking for a handout.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
great.
so get there early.
It is
Starts
great.
at 4:30.
Yes, best fish you'll have, I'll guarantee you.
Sunday, February 16th, Zion Lodge has their annual George Washington celebration, which will start in the Renaissance Center lobby. At 2, they march to Mariners Church for a wreath-laying ceremony at the George Washington statue, and then a program follows at the Detroit Temple. So, again, check your Hiram's Herald and the calendar for links to get more information on that. This Saturday, February 1st, which it'll probably be gone by the time you see this, there's a joint EA degree with Prince Hall in Port Huron. But the other two are coming up. March 1st, the joint Fellowcraft degree will be in Roseville, and April 5th will be the joint Master Mason degree at the Detroit Temple. So check your weekly news for more information on those. And we mentioned the Unity celebration with Prince Hall on Sunday, March 23rd. Sign up for that. Don't miss that event. And those are the upcoming events.
Great job. How's the mailbag? Is it stuffed this month?
The mailbag is fairly light. We have a few things. Actually, we have one. I submitted a couple others myself.
Why don't we segue right into the mailbag?
Oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait.
So the first one has come from a couple different people. What is the proper protocol to attend a lodge outside of our jurisdiction?
So, this is when I'd always like having Bill and Tom here, but
Right.
that's okay. Yeah. No, I think the proper protocol is to send Darren a note or Karen, and they'll put together a letter of introduction and send it to the jurisdiction that you're going to, and notify them that you'll be sojourning in their jurisdiction for whatever the time frame is. Contact the lodge out there. We can help you do that. If you have the Amity app that's connected with Grandview somehow, I'm not exactly sure how. Amity app has all kinds of lodges wherever you're at. So if you're in a community and you just tap lodges nearby, they'll all pop up. It's a very nice little app. So that's a tool. Be sure to have your dues card. Memorize the Tyler's Oath. Yeah. Now a lot of jurisdictions it doesn't mean a thing. But if you have and you start to give it, they'll probably figure out that you're a Mason pretty quick. So,
Right.
But you might also find out if they have any specific requirements. You'll need to know the signs and words of the degree that you happen to be in. They may purge the lodge. That happens on occasion in jurisdictions. Michigan doesn't do it very often. We do it, but it's not very often. But other jurisdictions do it all the time. So When I go back to lodge in Virginia, my lodge in Virginia will purge the lodge every meeting. So make sure you know what the word is of that degree, and if you don't, talk with somebody prior to and make sure that you can get refreshed. But the protocol, I think, is to notify us through the Grand Secretary's office. The Grand Secretary will notify that jurisdiction that you'll be sojourning there. And they can be a big help to you too if something happens, or if you you need a little assistance, might need to find your directions or something or whatever. But that's how we've always done it, myself, and we've always had a great time when we've done it that way.
Yeah, I've done letters of introduction for most states in the country and provinces in Canada and countries from Turkey and South Africa, Philippines,
Scotland,
Australia, Scotland, England. Yep.
I think we did one to Finland. We haven't done any to Sweden.
I haven't done any to Sweden. Yeah.
I was going to ask.
Well, you'll need to take an olive branch if you go to Sweden.
Yeah, if you're going to Sweden, let us know. We have gifts for them. So. Yes.
But yeah, I do those letters. I'll send it to you. I'll also send it to the Grand Lodge, and they will notify their lodge, and they might put you in contact with that lodge so you can communicate directly.
That's great. Okay.
Special thanks to Cam Cedrone, I think, went on a cruise last year and asked me if I could do, I think it was 6 or 7 introductions, because he was stopping in many countries around throughout the Mediterranean. So
yeah, all right.
Okay, so another question is, how do I pay my dues online? That's coming up a lot.
I'm going to defer to Darren on that. Some members are trying to go to their Our Lodge page to pay. Well, that's gone, not just for us, but all of Group of Bulls jurisdictions. But there is a pay online module through Grandview, so you need a Grandview account. The address is right there on your screen to create one if you've not yet. Go to your member portal, go under the blue boxes and click the Actions button, and it's right there. So it's very simple, but you do need that Grandview account, which means you need an email address on your record in Grandview. So if you don't have that, let us know. Your secretary will get that updated. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite simple. And check with your secretary because he might have other means. Maybe you have a Lodge PayPal or Venmo account you could use as well as an alternate. In Elma Lodge, we have a Square Swiper that plugs into our phone. Mm-hmm. We started that when we were doing breakfast. So there's many possible ways, but Grandview you can pay online, and the money goes right to your lodge. So excellent. Yeah, yep. I know we facilitate that transfer up here. So
yes.
Okay.
And then the last one is, how do I submit for a lifetime membership? That usually comes from the secretaries. They've voted on a guy for lifetime membership. How do they submit that? You submit that right through Grandview. You don't need to go to the guy's record and try to change things. Please don't change things that you shouldn't be. But there's a link in the resources and forums to click lifetime membership. You fill out the form and submit it, and it comes right to us. And Jamie and I will get the record updated, and Jamie will get a certificate out.
Good.
Now, you do have to have a minimum of 40 years to be eligible. That doesn't mean your lodge has to do it at 40. That means the member is eligible. Some lodges don't do it till 50. Some don't do it at all.
Don't do it at all. Yep.
And it does have to be proposed in lodge and held over for a vote. So I've revised the form to submit, so it kind of holds your feet to the fire. You have to put in the proposal date and the vote date. They're 2 separate dates, guys. So
okay.
All right.
I hope everybody get that. I hope so. So
if you have any questions, get a hold of me. Call, email, right there on the screen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
Good. All right, Darren. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
So, at the lectern is the amazing Dirk Hughes, director of our museum and library in Grand Rapids, and with our Masonic Minute.
And I don't believe in time.
Your introductions are always so uplifting for me, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. And
Thank
your
you.
employment continues for a couple more.
Doesn't hurt to kind of pad you a little bit.
It does not. No.
All right, well, today we're going to talk about Most Worshipful Brother Horace Roberts, who is a military man, civil servant, Civil War officer, and the Grand Lodge of Michigan's youngest Grand Master. You were pretty young, Bob, but you don't beat this guy. So he was born in 1828. This is Horace Roberts we're talking about, not Bob. Horace Roberts was born in 1828 in New York. He proved himself a natural leader while only 19 years old, fighting in the Mexican War. After that war, he moved to Lansing and was raised a master mason at Lansing 33 in 1849. And I just realized that's around the time they got their charter. They might have even been under dispensation at that time. But he was probably one of the first members at Lansing 33. Just before taking a job as the private secretary of the Michigan governor, John S. Barry. In 1852, he moves to Detroit. He joins Union of S&O number 3 to be their worshipful master for the next 6 years. And he takes a job as the Detroit city clerk at that time as well. In 1857, he became Wayne County Registrar of Deeds and continued his military involvement as a leader in the Detroit Light Guard, which was probably one of the most respected militias in Michigan. He held a number of Grand Lodge officer chairs while in his 20s, very young, including Deputy Grand Master in 1856 and 1857. And in January of 1861, he was installed as Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Michigan at the age of 33, a record that stands today as the youngest to ever serve in that position in our jurisdiction. Unfortunately, 4 months after he was installed, when the Civil War broke out with the attack on Fort Sumter, he would have to put his Grand Master duties on hold to join the Union war effort in April of 1861. He would help organize and lead the Michigan 1st Regiment in many campaigns during the rest of his Grand Master term, and would eventually be commissioned a colonel to lead that entire regiment. Obviously, because of his military duty, he was unable to preside over the Grand Lodge annual communication at the end of his term in 1862, because as explained by the person who had to fill in for him, his deputy Grand Master, at the meeting, and a fine example of Masonic understatement, he said that Grand Master Roberts was unable to attend because he was currently out of the state, which is a nice way of saying that he's dodging bullets in a bloody civil war. But being out of the state's much nicer to say. Causes less panic. So later that year, he was wounded in the shoulder injury at the Battle of Gaines Mill in Virginia, but healed well enough to lead the Michigan 1st a couple of months later in the Second Battle of Bull Run, where tragically on August 30th, 1862, he was killed while leading a charge against the Confederate line. He was buried unidentified in a Virginia mass grave with the other men of the Michigan 1st that fell that day, but his Detroit brothers would erect a memorial in his honor that can still be seen at Elmwood Cemetery in Detroit. So based on how his past went before he died at the age of 34, we can only imagine what his life may have been with the trajectory it was going on. Yeah. So that's our, what I call Civil War Grand Master, most worshipful brother, Horace Roberts.
That's great. Thank you very
Thank
much. What a great story. So we've got some good friends of ours that are in Fellowship Lodge and other lodges that are very involved with the Michigan State Battle Flag Restoration Project, and a lot of the presentations that I've gone to mention the Michigan 1st. It saw some terrible battle, and that's a great story. Thank you. Before we go, so this is a march down memory lane for Bob. This is where music would play. I'm helping this evening, and I'm giving a fellowcraft degree lecture to a good friend of mine this evening. So to do that, of course, we have to kind of brush up on our work, and I was desperately looking through my stuff at home for my ritual, and I found this one. Now, this one is very special to me because this was my dad's, and it's got his name written inside of it. Now, you got to figure how old this is then. So this is probably from, I'm going to say from the mid-50s. That's how old this book is. And this is the book that I learned my work in, and you'll see that it's the single letter ritual. But when I was a little boy, I must have written in my dad's ritual book, because there's my name, Bobby, and I must have been practicing 100 because there's a whole bunch of hundreds in there. But he never took it out. He left it there the rest of his life. And when he passed, this book came to me. Now, I've had a lot of ritual books. I still do. I've got them all over the place. But this is the one that I learned my fellowcraft lecture from. And I was showing Darren earlier, I would always read it when I was driving. So every place down here is a thumbprint. So on every page, There's a thumbprint right there. And don't tell me that you've never done this stuff while you're driving. But there's a thumbprint on every one of those pages. This book is shot, and I love it. And I told my wife that this goes in with me upon my demise, and this book goes with me. This is my ritual book from my dad, and that's why when they change the ritual, which they don't do too often, but they do on occasion, doesn't matter. This is what I learned it from, and this is what I'll remember. So this is my ritual book. And with that, break out your ritual book. Go to Lodge and take the time to do that. You'll have a great time. I guarantee it. And if you don't, you let us know, and we'll be there next time with you. So have a great month. We'll see you next time on Trowel Time. Oh, do we have an homage to Sweden?
You know what? The flag must be with Bill and Tom, so I don't have it. But
Oh,
good
dear.
night, Sweden.
Well, good night, Sweden.
Good night, Sweden.